Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. As we told you that we will be being live from 12 noon to 12 a.m., right? And we'll be discussing all the aspects of the paper, right? I'm sure you have got like most of the information about the paper, but in the end, the last hour, we decided to discuss some of the questions of quants, which we got to know from the students only, from our students on the basis of their memory, and we are going to discuss the solution of those questions, right? So guys, let's start with the first question of the day, which came in the exam. Guys, first I got to know the question is like the sum of the coefficient and the expansion of this, but later on from different sources I got to know the question was slightly different, right? Let me write down the actual question which I got to know. In the actual question, guys, it's not 5x minus 9. It's not 5x minus 4. It was actually 5x minus 9 raised to the power 4. In the original question, that it was written that 5x minus 9 raised to the power 4, right? So we have to find the sum of the coefficient in the expansion of this. So guys, a lot of people might be thinking that we have to find the complete binomial expansion and then we have to solve such kind of question. Then it will take a lot of time, right? So guys, actually in such kind of question, there is a shortcut which we need to apply for finding for solving such kind of question. The shortcut is what? Whenever we have to find the sum of all coefficients, right? In any of the binomial expansion, sum of all the coefficients in any of the binomial expansion, or you can say any of the expansion in which there are so many variables. Let's say there are 2 variables, 3 variables, right? So we just do one thing. We put the value of all the variables. The value of all variables equals to 1. We put the value of all variables nothing but equals to 1. As we do this, we'll automatically get the answer. So guys, in this question, I'm sure everyone would be clear that what could be the answer now. If you do like this, then the answer must be what in this question? Sum of the coefficients. Sum of all coefficients must be what? As I told you, we are just going to put the value of all the coefficients, the value of all the variables as 1. In this question, the expansion is 5x minus 9. So the value of x, which is the only variable here, that should be 1, right? So the expansion becomes this, which you can say is minus 4 raised to the power 4, right? And guys, this is a negative number, but the power is even. So we can say that this is 4 raised to the power 4 as well, right? Because the power is even. And finally, we can say this is nothing but 256. So the final answer of this question has to be 256. This was a simple question, right? If you just knew this property, that for finding sum of all the coefficient of the expansion, we have to put the value of all the variables as 1, then the question would have been solved so quickly, right? So we just had to know this particular property. So now we move to the next question. That's the second question, which was also very easy. The question is that there were 7 points in a line and 5 points in another parallel line. Find the number of triangles which could be formed. There can be 2 methods to solve such kind of questions. The first line is having 7 points, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let us say. And second parallel line is having 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say like this. Guys, if all points are non-collinear, how many triangles could have been formed? Total triangles could have been formed as 12C3. But we know that these 7 points are collinear. So because of which, how many triangles will not be formed? We can say it's 7C3. And again, we can say these 5 points are also collinear. Because of these, how many triangles would not be formed? We can say 5C3. So 7C3 and 5C3 would be subtracted from 12C3 to get the original answer, right? To get the actual answer, we will just subtract 7C3 and 5C3 from 12C3. So this should be the actual answer, right? It was a very simple question. Let's move to the third question. Third question which you got to know from memory basis is this. A person was running at the speed of 12 and when it increases speed to 20, it took him 1 hour less to find the distance. Pretty simple question. We can solve this question by the help of equation or by the help of proportionality, right? See, whatever is being asked, we will just assume it. Let's say the distance is nothing but d kilometer, right? So when the person is traveling at the speed of 12, the time taken should be d upon 12. And when the same person is traveling at the speed of 20, the time taken must be d upon 20, right? And we just know that the difference is being 1 hour. So we can say this minus this has to be 1 hour. Luckily, all the units are in the same system, so we don't need to do much work on this. Now, if you do the LCM and just simplify this, these two fractions, it must be what? The LCM of this is 60. It's 5d minus 3d equals to 1. we can say this is 2D is equal to 60 and the value of D is nothing but 30 kilometer. We can simply say the value of D is 30 kilometer. It was again a very simple question. Guys, we could have solved this question by the help of proportionality as well. How? See, we are given that a person is changing his speed from 12 to 20. So we can say the ratio of the speeds is what? His ratio of speed is 12 to 20. That means 3:5. We can say the ratio of his speed is 3:5. And we know that he's traveling the same distance. That means the distance is constant. That means distance is basically constant. And if the distance is constant, we can simply say that the ratio of speed is inversely, it is the inverse ratio of the time taken. And we know that the ratio of speed is 3:5. So the ratio of the time taken must be 5:3. We can say the ratio of the time taken must be 5:3, right? Now, guys, if I assume that T1 is 5 and T2 is 3, what should be the difference of these two time taken? So the difference should be 2 units. The difference should be nothing but 2 units. But the actual difference is given to us how much? The actual difference is given to us 1 hour, right? The actual difference is given to us 1 hour. So we can say 2 units is equal to 1 hour, or 1 unit is equal to nothing but half hour. We can say 1 unit is nothing but half hour. So guys, T1 we assume as 5 units. So 5 units should be obviously 5 by 2 hours, and T2 we assume as 3 units. That should be 3 by 2 hours, right? Now we can use these two values to find the final answer. Guys, we have to find the distance, and we all know the distance is nothing but speed into time. Distance is nothing but speed into time. So in the first case, we can say the first case the speed was how much? 12, and the time we just found out how much? 5 by 2 hours. So if we just put these two values, we'll get the distance in kilometers, and when you solve this, you will get the answer as 30 kilometers. So the answer will be 30 kilometers by the help of this method as well, right? So we can solve such question by any of the methods. This was a simple question. I'm sure most of you would be able to solve this, right, everyone? Now we move to the next question. Guys, this question is also written, somewhere wrong. I'll come back to this slide. I will write this question once again. This question is slightly wrong written here. Okay, guys. So let's do one thing. Let me, write the right question right now, and let's try to solve it. The right question was, guys, let me write it down again. The right question was that in a series, there is a series of AP, right? There is an AP. AP, we all understand. AP is arithmetic progression. There is an AP. If the 14th term and 69th term of the AP are first two terms of a GP, right? These are the first two terms of a GP, and nth term of AP is third term of the GP. Right? So we just have to solve the value of n. We basically have to find the value of n. So this is a question, right? Now, how can we solve such question? Is we are given that the 14th term and 69th term of the AP are actually the first two terms of the GP, right? So if I say that the first term of AP is A, right? The first term of AP, let's say, is A, and common difference, let's say, is D, right? And let's say common difference of AP is nothing but small d, right? So we can say the 14th term of AP must be A plus 13d, and the 69th term of AP must be A plus 68d. We can say like this, right? And we are clearly given that these two terms of AP are the first two terms of the GP. These are the first two terms of the GP, right? So guys, if these two terms are the first two terms of the GP, so we can say with respect to GP that A1 is equal to A plus 13d. Guys, I'm saying that A1 is the first term of GP, right? And A2 is the second term of GP, which is A plus 68d, right? We have to find out the value of n if nth term of AP is the third term of GP, right? What should be the nth term of AP, guys? The nth term of AP we can say is nothing but A plus n minus 1 into t, right? And that is given to us that this is the third term of the GP. This is given to us the third term of GP, right? And we have to try to find the value of n. Guys, we all know that in these questions, we all know that the common ratio of GP should always be constant, right? The common ratio of the GP should always be constant. So from here, we can say that the ratio of this must be the ratio of this also, right? Or if we know that these three terms are in GP, then obviously the square of the second term should be the product of the like extreme terms, mean the first term and the third term, right? I hope we will get the answer by this, because as I told you, this is a memory based question, right? No one is sure about the accuracy of this question, right? I just got this question from a few of the students. Let's see, is this going to be, will this give it the correct answer or not? Or is it going to be solved or not, right? We have to check that also. Okay, guys, if I put the value of A1, A2, A3 in this, let's see what we get in the end. Okay, this is what A squared plus 68D squared. The square of 68 should be how much? We can say this is like 4, carry is 6, 12 is a 96, and 6, 102, carry is 10, 36 plus 10 is 46. D squared plus twice of this, which you can say is 136D, right? We should be what? If you multiply them, it should be A squared, right? Then 13AD, okay? And then I can also say this is what? This is A into n minus 1 into D, and plus I can also say that 13 into n minus 1 into D square, 13 into n minus into D square, right? So this must be the result of this equation. A square definitely is going to be cancelled, right everyone? A square definitely going to be cancelled. Let's see what will be the later result. The later result we can say is 4624D square plus 136D. In the right side, we can say this equals to 13 AD plus, guys, this is also AD. I just forgot that. This should also be AD. So this is basically 136 AD. This should be nothing but 136 AD. In the right side, we can say is 13 AD plus AD minus D plus 13 minus 1. 13 bracket n minus 1, or you can say 13 n minus 13. We can say both the things, right? Okay, we can just call it AD minus D plus 13 n minus 13 D square, right? Now, guys, if you try to compare them, let's see what we get. If you compare the value of the coefficient of D square, so we get 13 n minus 13 is equal to 4624, right? And if you compare the coefficient of D, we can say, if you compare the coefficient of D, we can say 136A is equal to 13, or you can say 14A minus 1, right? So we can get the values of A and N both from here, right? We can get the values of A and N both from here. What should be the value of N from this? Let's see. This should be 4624 plus 13, which means 4637, right? It should be divisible by 13. If it's not divisible by 13, we can say there is some mistake with the question for sure, right, guys? Okay, let's see what we get. Okay. N equal to how much? It's divisible by 3, first of all, 39. 33, then 7. Guys, this is not divisible by 13. We can see this. This is just not divisible by 13 as being how much? Is dividing 3 first, 39, 7 is the remainder, 73. We can say 13, 13 5s is 65, right? And we got here what? We just got 39, 73. So remainder is 8, 87. 87 is not divisible by 13. So we can say there is some mistake with the question, definitely, or the student, some of the students got confused, because obviously it's not easy to remember all the question, the complete question. So there, it looks like there is some mistake. In fact, I also made one mistake in the equation, which doesn't matter with the solution. Here you can say this is an minus 1d. So I should have written and minus ad, right? It should be and minus ad, but it doesn't make any change, because here we were comparing the coefficients of d squared, and by that we didn't get the natural value of n. So this looks like that this language, this question which someone told me is not correct, right? The solution which someone had told me is just not correct. So we'll try to solve from this question. This is also a question which is given to us by the students. So let's try to solve from the first language, okay? The first part of solution. Okay, guys, let's try to solve from here. It is given the third, 14th, and the 69th term of an AP, R, and GP. The next term in GP would be the nth term of AP. What would be the value of n? Guys, third, 14th, and 69th term of an AP, R, and GP. Okay, if I say first term of AP is basically small a, right? First term of AP is basically small a, and the common difference of AP is basically small d. So I can say the third term is nothing but a plus 2d, right? I can say the 14th term is what? A plus 13d. And then there us the 69th term. What should be the 69th term? The 69th term should be a plus 68d. It should be a plus 68d, right? Now, guys, if I try to solve this, we know that DC term should be what? DC term should be in GP, right? So we can say that T14, if DC terms are in GP, the middle term has to be, the square of the middle term should be the product of the first and the extreme terms, right? So T14 square should be T69. Now what? T14 is what this is given to us, which we found a plus 13d squared. T3 is a plus 2d, and 69 term is a plus 68d. Now, if we try to simplify this, we get what? A squared plus 169d squared plus 26ad. Right? And the right side, we can say it's a squared plus 2ad plus 68ad, that means 70ad, right? Plus we can say it 136d squared. Plus we can say 136d squared. As you can see, a squared just getting cancelled out, right? 2680 if goes to the right side, we get what? If 2680 goes to the right side, must be 4480, right? Must be 4480, we can say that. 136 coming to the left side, it must be how much? It must be 33d squared. Must be 33d squared. Luckily, guys, you can see 11 is common here, right? 11 is basically common. So we can say that 3d squared minus 4ad equals to 0, right? Now, if we take d as a common, we say 3d minus 4a equals to 0, right? So, guys, we can say either d equals to 0 or 3d minus 4a equals to 0, right? But we all know that d just cannot be equal to 0. Everyone, we can clearly say that d cannot be equal to 0 because d is a common difference. If d becomes 0, all the terms of AP will be same, and obviously they will form the GP, right? So that will not make much sense to the solution, right? So we can say the common difference should not be 0, right? So 3d minus 4a should be 0. That means 3d is equal to 4a, or we can say d is equal to 4a upon 3, or we can say a is equal to 3d upon 4. We can actually compare a with respect to d or d with respect to a. Let's see what help us more, right? As we are given that the nth term, the next term in GP is nth term of AP, right? The next term of GP is basically the nth term of AP. So first we'll try to find the next term in the GP, right? First we'll try to find the next term in GP. Guys, we all know that GP works with common ratio, right? Let's see what are the terms of the GP here. The first term of GP is what? T3. The second term of GP is what? T14. And the third term of the GP is what? T69, right? The first term T3 is basically A plus 2D, right? Now, and the 14th term A plus 13D we already found, and this is a plus 68d. Now, if you put the value of a with respect to d, which looks easier here, so we can say that a is equal to 3d by 4. If I put the value of a with respect to d in the expression, in all these three values, we get what? We can say this is 11d by 4, right? For the first T3 term, we can say this is 11d by 4. Here we can say this is what? 13 4s are, we all know is 52. 52 plus 3 is 53d by 4. In the third term, we can say what? Here we can say 68 4s, which is 240 plus 32, 272. 272 plus 3 is 275 d by 4. And guys, we can clearly see that A1 is what? The terms are being what? If you write the terms, it's 11d by 4. Second term is 50. I think I have made some mistake here. It's 55d, right? Because this was 3d by 4, right? So this should be 55d by 4. The third term is 275d by 4. And you can clearly observe that this is basically a GP with a common ratio of 5, right? With a common ratio of 5, because all the terms are getting multiplied by 5. So the next term should also be getting multiplied by 5, right? So this should be how much? 275 by into 5, that basically should be 375 d by 4. That should be 375 d by 4. This is the next term of GP, right? This is the fourth term of GP, we can say that. And guys, we have clearly mentioned that the fourth term of GP is basically the nth term of AP, right? The fourth term of GP is basically the nth term of AP, and we need to find the value of n. The fourth term of GP came to us how much? 1375 d by 4, which must be the nth term of AP, which means a plus n minus 1 into d, right? Now we can again put the value of a with respect to d in the right hand side of the equation. So this become what? 1375 d by 4. The value of a is 3d by 4 plus n minus 1 into d, which we can say what? If we try to simplify this, we can see, guys, everything, all like if the equation is with respect to d can be cancelled because d is not equal to 0. Remember, I hope everyone remembers d is not equal to 0, so we can cancel the value of d. Now, further solving the equation, we can get the value of A as well, right? Further solving the equation, we can get the value of A. Let's see what we get next. The next part of the equation will be 1375 is equal to 3 by 4 plus n minus 1 plus n minus 1. If we take 1 and 3 by 4 to the basically we can take to the right hand side, sorry, left hand side, we can get the value of n. Guys, this is also divided by 4, right? So if I take 3 by 4 to the left side, it's 1372 by 4, right? Plus 1 has to be the value of n. And if I just try to solve this now, let's see what we get. 1372 by 4 is how much? We can say this is 3, 4, and 3 plus 1, which means the value of n has to be 344, right? Everyone, the value of n has to be 344. It was a very good question and a difficult as well, right? So from the exam point of view, we shouldn't try such kind of question in the beginning, right? In the first round, we can say, first of all, we should always try to solve the question which could be solved quickly, right? So for the exam point of view, we should never try to solve this question. We should try the questions which can be solved quickly in the first round, and in the second round, we should solve such kind of questions, right? Because it's a lengthy question, we should solve this question in the second round of the exam. Okay, guys. Okay, so that was the explanation of this particular question. Now we move to the next question. Next question is this. This was a very simple question. I expected most of them would have solved this. Let's see, guys, how can we solve this? We are given Mr. Sharma, Mrs. Sharma, Mr. Ahuja, Mrs. Ahuja, and 4 others to be seated around a circular table, such that Mr. Sharma and Mrs. Sharma always sit together, and Mr. Ahuja and Mrs. Ahuja never sit together. Okay. So, guys, how can we solve such questions? There can be so many ways to solve such kind of questions. If we can solve it by complete method also, or we can solve it by direct method also, right? Guys, we are given that Mr. Sharma and Mrs. Ahuja always sit together. So first of all, we'll put them together, right? Mr. Sharma and Mrs. Sharma, they will actually become one unit, right? Because they are sitting always together. So we can say they are basically the one unit. They are not the two units or not two people now. This is basically one unit or one group now, right? Other than that, we have how many more people? We have 6 more people. But among those 6 people, we are given that Mr. Ahuja and Mrs. Ahuja can never sit together. So we have to focus on those 2 people as well, right? We also have to focus on those 2 people. Let's say, guys, first of all, we are fixing the other 4 people apart from Mr. Ahuja and Mrs. Ahuja, right? The 4 people are, let's say, sitting here. And we can say that, let's fix their name as ABCD, right? Let's fix their name as ABCD. So, guys, first of all, let's fix these 6 people, the people except from Mr. Ahuja and Mrs. Ahuja. So we can fix them in how many ways? Guys, this is a circular arrangement, right? With actually 5 quantities, not 6 quantities, not 6 articles, 5 articles, or we can say 5 you can say units, right? Mr. Sharma and Mrs. Sharma are taken in a group. So there are 5 articles in a circle. If there are 5 articles in a circle, right, or any closed geometry, we can arrange them in factorial 4 ways, right? We can arrange them in factorial 4 ways because the formula is what? Factorial n minus 1. I'm sure everyone knows this basic formula, right? So first of all, if we arrange 5 these people or article or groups, whatever you call it, in the circle, we can say it can be arranged in factorial 4 ways. The very first thing, right? Now, guys, we are given that the Mr. Ahuja and Mrs. Ahuja never sit together. If they never sit together, we have to fix them in the gaps created by these groups, right? Let's see how many gaps are created by these groups. The first gap is created as this one. The second gap is this one, right? The third gap is this one. The fourth gap is this one, and the fifth gap is this one. A lot of people say that this is also a group, but guys, this cannot be the group. This just can't be the group because Mr. and Mrs. Sharma has to sit together. So this cannot be the group. If we make a gap here, then Mr. Sharma and Mrs. Sharma would not sit together. So this cannot be a gap, right? So guys, let me just clean this gap so that you do not get confused, right? This just cannot be the gap. And let me draw the circle again. The circle was like this, right? So guys, in this question, we actually got how many gaps? We got 5 gaps. Gap number 1, you can say, gap number 2, gap number 3, gap number 4, and gap number 5, right? And in these 5 gaps, we basically have to fix Mr. Ahuja and Mrs. Ahuja. If you fix Mr. Ahuja and Mrs. Ahuja in these 5 gaps, in 2 gaps of these 5 gaps, they will never sit together. right? So a priority, a target is to fix Mr. Sharma, Mr. Ahuja, and Mrs. Ahuja in these 5 gaps. Obviously, we have to fix only those people, the only 2 people, Mr. Ahuja and Mrs. Ahuja, and gaps of 5. So we can select, we can arrange them in, we can say 5 P2 ways, right? Or you can say like this, that first of all, we have to choose 2 gaps from the 5 gaps, which can be done in 5 C2 ways. And in the end, we have to arrange those 2 people with 2 ways. So this should be the answer to this question. Let's calculate it. It should be 24 into 10 into 2. That must be 480. Right, guys? The answer should be 480. So this must be the. It's a simple question. I'm sure everyone would be able to understand this. Right? So, guys, let's move to the next question now. Next question is based on, you can say, profit and loss. That was not a difficult one. It could have been solved. Question is that a shopkeeper bought some apples and some mangoes. The price of one apple was 20 and one mango was rupees 25. When he made 10% profit on apple and 20% loss on mangoes, he made no profit, no loss. When he made a loss of 20% on apples and a profit of 10% on mangoes, he was at a loss of 150 rupees. Find the number of apples. Guys, let's say the number of apples is small a, right? And number of mangoes is small m. I just took the values by their initial letters, right? And the price of one apple is 20 and the price of one mango is rupees 25. So we can say the total cost price for the shopkeeper must be 20A plus 25M, right? We can say this is the cost price. In first case, guys, he is making a profit of 10% on apple. So we can say the selling price in first case must be how much? He's making 10% profit on apple. So we can say the selling price has to be 22A, 10% profit on apple, and 20% loss in mango. So we can say this must be 20M. Right, 25% of 20% of 25 is basically 5. So 5 loss from 25 becomes 20, right? So this must be the selling price in the first case. What must be the selling price in the second case? Guys, in the second case, they are saying that they are selling apples at a loss of 20%. So 20 minus 20% is how much? 16. We can say the selling price is 16 after apples. And on mangoes, they are making profit of 10%. So we can say the selling price of mango should be 27.5. In the first case, guys, there is no profit, no loss. So we can say that selling price equal to cost price. That means the equation must be 20A plus 25M equals to 22A plus 20M, because there is no loss, no profit. So cost price should be equal to the selling price. In the second equation, guys, we are given that he made a loss of 150 rupees. Guys, when the loss happens, when cost price is more than selling price, right? So we can say that selling price is cost price minus the loss. And selling price in this case is what? 16A plus 27.5M. So that should be 150 less than the cost price. Cost price is 20A plus 25M minus 150. So okay, these are the two relations which you can solve, right? And remember, we have to find the value of the number of apples, which we considered as small a, which we assume as small a. Guys, we have two equations in two variables. So basically, we can easily solve the variables. Because you have two equations to support them, right? Let's see what we get the result. We can say here that 5M equals to 2A. In the second equation, we can say is that 2.5M is equal to what? Is equal to 4A minus 150, right? We can put the value of M or A in the second equation. Guys, we need to get the value of A, right? So we'll put the value of M with respect to A. That will give you directly the value of A. We can say M equals 2 by 5A. And if I put the value of M in the second equation, let's see what the result we get. We can say 2.5 into 2 by 5A is equal to 4A minus 150. Let's solve it further. We get what? 150 taken to the left-hand side. This is 4A minus this. This should be what? Guys, 2.5 into 2 is 5. 5 by 5 is 1. We can say this is nothing but A. So 3 is equal to 150 and the value of A should be 50. So we can say the number of apple which he bought is what? 50. Right, so this could have been solved easily. It wasn't a difficult question, right? Now move to the next question. Next question is also a very tricky question, but if you understand the trick, it could have been solved in seconds. Guys, you just had to understand the hidden lines in the question, and then the question could have been solved within the seconds. How? See, we are given the sum of the 15 terms of an AP in 200, right? Sum of the 15 terms is given to us 200, and some of the next 15 terms, right? The some part is missing. Some of the next 15 term is 350. That means we can say some of the next 15 terms is basically some of the terms from the 16th term, right? Some of the term from the 16th term to the 30th term, right? Some of the term from the 16th term to the 30th term, which you can say actually S30 minus F15, right? Guys, if you observe this, we can also call it S30 minus S15, which is given to us here in 50, right? And luckily S15 we know is how much? 200. So we can say that S30 is equal to 350 plus 200, which is basically 550. So guys, you can say this is equation number 1 and this is equation number 2. Equation number 1 can give us a result as 15 by 2 in bracket 2a plus 14b equals to 200. I'm sure you all know the formula of the sum of the terms of an AB, right? And the second equation we can say this is 30 by 2 in bracket 2a plus 29d. That should be equal to 550, right? You just have to solve these two equations to get the values of a and d. Question is only about the common difference, that means the value of d, right? Now guys, I can say from here, if I divide 2 in this, if I don't divide into this, then also I can basically say that 2a plus 14d is equal to what? That should be 400 upon 50. We can say this is 400 by 50. And from here, I can say 2a plus 29d is equal to what? We can say 1100 upon 30. 1100 upon 30, which basically must be 110 by 3, right? Or we can also say 550 by 50. I'm not solving it further because, you know, guys, in the first equation also the denominator is 15, and in the second equation also the denominator is 50. So if I do not simplify it further, if I write in the same way only, that will simplify our calculation. So that's why I'm not simplifying it further, right? Now guys, if I subtract equation 1 from equation 2, let's see what we get. 2a will be cancelled out. Left side will be only 15d and right side will be 150 by 15, which will be 10, right? So the value of d should be 10 by 15, which is basically 2 by 3. And that was the final question to find the common difference. So that came out to be 2 by 3. So that was also a simple question expected to be solved by maximum of the students, right? This question is, you can say, the easiest amongst the all in the paper. The question is that two sides of a triangle are 40 and 21 and third side is the smallest. Find the possible value of the smallest side. Guys, we all know one of the very basic property of a triangle, that sum of the length of any two sides, should be greater than the length of third side. Should be greater than the length of third side. This is one of the basic property of any of the triangles. Should be greater than the length of the third side, right? So guys, we can apply this property, right? Let's say the third side is x. Let's say the third side is x, and we know that that's the smallest side. Let's say the third side is x. So we can say the sum of two sides, which means 40 plus 21, should be greater than x, right? That means x should be less than 61. That we can say is one of the relation, right? Or one of the range of the value of x. After this, we can say sum of other two sides, let's say 40 plus x, that should be greater than 21, guys, which is pretty understood because 40 itself is greater than 21, then 40 plus x should obviously be greater than 21. So we do not get any result from here. The third relation we can say is 21 plus x is greater than 40, from which we get the result that x is greater than 90. So this is the relation which can be helpful. So from first and the second relation, we can say that x should belongs to 20 to 60, right? We can say that x belongs to 20 to 60. That means x, the minimum value of x is 20 and the maximum value of x is 60 if x is an integer, right? I'm considering that x is an integer, right, everyone? Even if x is not an integer, we can say the best option is 20 because 17, 18, 19 are not satisfying the inequality number 2, right? First, second, and third option are not satisfying the inequality number 2. So we can say anyways the answer is option number D, right? So this question was actually option based. I'm sure everyone must be clear with this. That was also, as I said, is the easiest question. Is this question I have doubt that this was actually the question or not, because a lot of the students were not sure about the question. So we will try to solve the next question. The next question is again based on permutation combination, an easy one. It says that in how many ways the word can be written by using the letters of the word management so that no two vowels are together, right? So first of all, guys, let's see how many letters are there, how many are vowels and how many are consonants, right? See guys, M is written 2 times. We also count the frequency of the letters. That will also help us in solving. In getting the final answer. The first vowel A is written 2 times, right? N is written 2 times, we can say that. Guys, the second vowel E is also written 2 times, we can say, right? G is written 1 time, and we can say that T is written 1 time. So we have overall 10 letters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, among whom 4 are vowels and 6 are consonants, right? And guys, we know that when there are articles of similar type, then we have to divide the factorial of the same number, right? Let's see how can we solve it. But there is one more condition, that no two vowels are together. So guys, remember the way we solve the question of circular permutation, we can solve the question of linear permutation as well, right? So if no two vowels are together, first of all, we'll try to arrange all the consonants. The consonants are M, N, G, and T. So first of all, we will arrange the consonants, which could be arranged in factorial 6 upon factorial 2 into factorial 2 ways, because these two consonants are similar, so we divide by factorial 2. These two consonants are similar, we divide by factorial 2, right? Very basic. And guys, in this case, we can see how many gaps we got to fix, or you can say to place the vowels in those gaps. How many gaps we have? First gap, second gap, third gap, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, guys. And this time we actually have 7 gaps, right? In those 7 gaps, we have to fix these 4 variables. So basically, we have to choose 4 places among these 7 gaps, which can be done in 7C4 ways, which can be done in nothing but 7C4 ways. After this, in 4 gaps, when we selected the gaps, we have to arrange these vowels, and these could be arranged in factorial 4 upon factorial 2 into factorial 2 ways, right? Why factorial 4? Because these are 4 articles. Why factorial 2? Because 2 articles are same. Why factorial 2? Because the other 2 articles are also same. So this should be the final answer. I'm sure, guys, you can be able to solve this and get the final answer. I'm not doing the calculation part. I'm leaving that on you, right? So this is how we can solve this particular question. Guys, let's move to the next question. This is the question based on log. That could have been done. It was tricky, but not impossible. Guys, if you just know the basic properties of log, you could have solved this question. Guys, here the x squared and y squared actually the base, right? I will write the equation again. The question is that log base x squared y plus log base y squared x is equals to 1. And we are also given that y is equal to x squared minus 30. And we have to find the value of x squared plus y squared, right? Guys, in this question, we can say that x have the power of 2 in base. So we know what are the properties of log, that if there is a power, in the base, that the power gets multiplied in the reciprocal form of it, or you can say in the inverse form, right? Get reciprocated, and then it gets multiplied in the log, right? So we can say it should become like this, right, guys? So in these two logs also, there is a power in the base. That power should be multiplied with the log in the reciprocal order, right? In the reciprocal way. So 2 should become what? 1 by 2. And log should be what? Log base x, y, right? And this also half. And log should be what? Log base y, x. That should be 1. If I take half as common, right? And guys, we can also say that log base y, x is 1 upon log base x, y. We can say this also, right? And guys, we can see that these two terms are same, right? And 2 goes to the right side. So this should be log base x, y plus 1 upon log base x, y should be equals to 2, right? And this term is basically the same. Let's say this term is nothing but a. For some time, I assume this as a. So we can say that a plus 1 upon a is equal to 2, right? Guys, if you try to solve that, then you will get a result that a plus 1 upon a is equal to 2 only and only when the value of a is 1, right? You can form a quadratic equation as well to get this. In this case, the value of a can only be 1. And what is a? The a is basically log base x, y, which you assume that is equal to a, which is 1, right? And the value of any log becomes 1 when the base and the value on which log is taken are same. So from here, we can say x equals to y. And if x is equal to y, and we also know this relation that y equals to x squared minus 30, if you solve these two equations, right? If you solve these two equations, you will easily get that x equal to y is equal to 6. It's nothing but 6. And the final question is to find x squared plus y squared. Guys, x and y both are 6. So x squared and y squared should be 36, and the sum has to be 72. So we can say that the answer to this question is nothing but 72, right? So that was also doable. Guys, the next question is this, which we are actually not sure that was the right question or not. Anyways, let's say even if this is the question, we can try to solve it, right? The question is that a new sequence is obtained from the sequence of natural numbers starting from 1 by deleting all the perfect squares. Find the 1022nd term of the new sequence form, right? Guys, a sequence is obtained from the sequence of natural numbers starting from 1 by deleting all the perfect squares. So the sequence should be like 1, 2, 3, but 4 is not written, but because that is a perfect square. In fact, 1 is also not written because 1 is also a perfect square, right? So we can say the sequence should start actually not from 1, it should start from 2. After 3 should be 5, 6, 7, 8, then 9 should be missing, then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 should be missing, and then should be 17. So this should be the sequence. Guys, we cannot do it manually, obviously, because we have to find 2022nd term of the sequence, right? Obviously, we cannot do this manually. So we are going to use a trick, or you can say we can use some basic concepts. Guys, we know that the perfect squares are not too many, right? Perfect squares are obviously not too many. From 1 to 100, we know that there are basically 10 perfect squares, right? From the perfect square from 1 square to 10 square, there are 10 perfect squares. So in these 100 numbers, we'll write only 90 numbers, right? Move the perfect squares. And similarly, if I say from 1 to 1600, there are actually perfect squares. The last perfect square is of the perfect square of 40, which is 1600 itself, right? So in real, there will not be 1600 numbers, there will be 1360 numbers. There will be 1360 numbers. So guys, we can see we are quite close, right? The actual term is 2022, and we reached up to 1560. Sorry, this is 1560. I'm sure everyone would have understood. And guys, we actually know that 2022 is close to 2025. Why I wrote 2025? Because 2025 is a square of 45. So we can actually take the help of 45, right? So guys, if I write all the numbers from 1 to 2225, there must be 45 perfect squares. There must be 45 perfect squares, right? So in real, I have written how many numbers? In real, I have written 2160 numbers. If you observe, I have actually written 2160 numbers, and I have to write how many numbers? I have to write, so guys, I think I put it 2 here. That was 0, right? So this must also be changed. Just a second, everyone. This should also be changed. This should be what? This should be 1960 numbers, right? So we have actually written 1960 numbers, and we had to write how many numbers? Then we had to write 2022 numbers, right? How many numbers we are? You can say behind. We can say we are 62 numbers behind, right? We are actually 62 numbers behind. And guys, sorry, this was 25. Sorry, this must be 80. This must be 80. This must be 25, and this must be 80. So actually, we are how many behind? We are only 42 numbers behind. You can say that, right, guys? We are only 42 numbers behind. We just have to move 42 numbers. Then everyone, and guys, we just know that 2025 is the perfect square of 45. If I just try to find the square of 46, which must be how much? Which must be basically when we add 91 to this. If I add 91 to this, I get what? I get 2116, right? If I add 91 to this, I get 2196. So we can say this is 91 numbers ahead. This is basically 91 numbers ahead, right? We'll get the next perfect square after adding 91. Guys, we need to understand, we'll get the next perfect square. We'll get the next perfect square when we add how much? When we add 91 to this, right? And we have to add how much? We just have to add 42 more, right? To get the required term, 2022nd term, we have to add only 42 more numbers, right? So guys, if we add 42 more numbers, the actual term must be which one? The actual term must be 2022, 2022nd term. The actual term must be 2022nd term, but that should be what number in the numbers? What should be which number? Actually, this should be 2025 plus 42, which must be 2067. So we can say the answer of this question is 2067. Right? So this must be the answer. And this was a difficult question, we can say that, right? So we should not try such kind of question in the first round of the exam. We can come to such kind of question in the second round of the our examination, but not in the first round, right? So that was the solution, guys. Now we move to the next question. That question again, I have some doubt that the students have told us the exact data or not, or do they forget something? Because if I try to solve this question, no option was matching, which is not possible, right? Guys, the question is that the number greater than 1000 is divisible by 2 and 3, but not by 5. What can be the value of number, right? We cannot say option A is correct because this is divisible by 5, and we have clearly mentioned that the number should not be divisible by 5. Because of the same reason, option B is also wrong. The third option is not divisible by 2, not by even 3. So this is definitely wrong. The fourth option is not divisible by 3. So this is also wrong. So we can say that none of the option is matching. So I really have doubt in the discussion. Maybe this question is actually wrong, or maybe the students forgot some digits of or some condition in terms of explaining to us. We will definitely get the real question in few days, and we'll come back with the solution of all the question. Guys, we are doing it today for sure, but we will be doing the solutions of all the question again in a very you can say proper manner. Today we are doing it just to let you know the solution of few of the question which you got to know by the help of the student. But we'll be doing another session of all the question, all the 90 questions, quant plus verbal, in some other session. That will be a long session. Obviously, that will be a series of the sessions actually, in which we'll be again covering all the 90 questions. Okay, guys, these were the 13 questions which I got to know by the help of the students. There are some more questions which I have not prepared the slide, but I know them verbally. I wrote that somewhere else actually, right? So let me tell you those questions as well, right? There's one more question which was asked, that find the area of curve enclosed by 2 mod x plus 3 mod y equals to 6. Guys, whenever we have such kind of question, right? Whenever we have such kind of question, let's say a mod x plus b mod y equals to let's say c. So the graph of such function is always, or you can say the graph of such polynomial is always a kind of rhombus, right? It must always be a kind of rhombus, right? What should be the length of the rhombuses? What should be the diagonals of the rhombuses? That is something which you can find by solving the equation of the curve by putting the values of x and y equal to 0 1 by 1, guys. If I put the value of x in this polynomial, we get what? We actually got that 3 times of mod y is 6, or we can say mod y is 2, or we can say y equals to plus minus 2. We can say y is equal to plus minus 2. So guys, when x equal to 0, y is plus minus 2. So we can say the 2 points of the graph of the polynomial should be 0 comma 2 and should be 0 comma minus 2, right? So one point should be 0 comma 2, which should be drawn here, and the second point should be 0 comma minus 2, which must be here, right? Similarly, in the same expression, if I put the value of y equals to 0, I get twice of mod x equal to 6, which means mod x equals to 3, and the value of x must be plus minus 3, right? So guys, from here we can get again two solutions or two points, 2 points of the this particular polynomial, of the graph of this particular polynomial. Those points should be 3 comma 0 and minus 3 comma 0, right? 3 comma 0 should be here and minus 3 comma 0 should be here. So now guys, if I join all these 4 points, you can see that this figure actually represents the shape of a rhombus, right? The shape of the rhombus. And we all know the formula of the area of the rhombus. The area of the rhombus, which has a very basic formula, right? Which is basically what? Half into the product of the diagonals. Half into the product of the diagonals, right? Let's see what are the length of the diagonals. Guys, this length is 3, this length is 3. So this diagonal, the diagonal along the x-axis must be 6. This value is 2, this value is 2. So the diagonal along the y-axis should be 4. So the diagonals, the length of the diagonals are 6 and 4, right? So we can say area is what? It's half into 6 into 4, which must be nothing but 12, right? So we can say the area enclosed by the curve should be 12 square units, right? Everyone, the area should be 12 square units. So this was a simple question. If you know the concept to solve this question, right? If you know the concept to solve this question. Now, guys, we'll try this next question. Okay, the next question was given to us what? The next question which we got through the memory, that is a very good question. The question is that there is a number 3 raised to the power 7, 2 raised to the power 8, and 17 raised to the power 2, right? The question is that find the probability that a factor of this number picked at random is a perfect square. Is a perfect square, right? So guys, we all know what is the basic formula of finding the probability. The basic formula of finding probability is number of favorable outcomes divided by number of total outcomes, right? We all know the basic formula to find the probability. It's number of favorable outcomes divided by number of total outcomes, right? What do you mean? What do you mean by favorable outcomes and total outcomes in this particular question? Total outcomes is nothing but, you can say, number of factors of the number of the given number, which let's say, which we already assumed as n, right? And the favorable outcomes must be the number of factors of n which are perfect square, right? The number of factors of n which are basically the perfect square, right? So how can we solve such kind of question? See, finding the number of factors is pretty easy, but finding the number of factors which are perfect square could be tricky if you haven't studied it, right? See, what can we do, guys? In such case, when we have to find the number of factors which are the perfect square, then in that case, let me tell you a trick. Let's say the number is written x raised to the power a, y raised to the power b, z raised to the power c, and the number is written in prime factorized form. The number of perfect square factors should be what? That should be basically a by 2, right? Plus 1 into b by 2 plus 1 into c by 2 plus 1 dash 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 dash, right? Here a by 2 should be the greatest integer, or you can say this should be only integer, right? Here b by 2 should also be greatest integer, c by 2 should also be greatest integer. What is my mean by saying greatest integer? Say if a by 2 is coming 6.5, we'll take only 6. If a by 2 is coming 8.9, then we will also only take 8, right? So we'll just take the integral part of the number, we'll not take the decimal part, right? So guys, let's come back to the solution. In the first part, the favorable outcomes, the perfect square factor should be how many? See, the power of 3 is 7. 3 is a prime number, obviously. So it should be 7 by 2 plus 1, right? Then we can say 8 by 2 plus 1. Then we can say what? Then we can say 2 by 2 plus 1, right? So guys, this must be basically the number of factors which are the perfect squares, right? Now, if I move ahead to the denominator part, which is the number of factors of n, which is the easiest thing which we can do, right? We all know to find how to find the number of factors of any number. Okay, guys, number of factors can be found how? We can say this is 7 plus 1 into 8 plus 1 into 2 plus 1, right? Okay, now let's go back to the numerator part. 7 by 2 is 3.5, but I'm going to take 3 only, as I told you before. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Similarly, 8 by 2 is 4, which is luckily an integer, so we'll take 4 here, right? 4 plus 1 is 5. Then it's 2 by 2, which is luckily 1, so we can say 1 plus 1 is 2. Divide by 8 into 9 into 3. Let's see if anything can be cancelled. Yes, 4 into 2 is 8 is getting cancelled. So final answer has to be 5 is to 5 upon 27. So the required probability is how much? 5 by 27. So this was also one of the questions which appeared in the today's exam, right? Okay, guys, let's try another question. Student, there was one more question, in fact, two more questions which we have on the basis of a student's memory. The first question is that the cost of making gold jewelry is proportional to the square of its weight, right? The square of its weight. And we are also given if it costs 3,600 rupees to make 10 gram, how much would it take? How much would it cost to make 4 kg, right? This is also one of the questions which was asked, right? Guys, we are given basically that cost of making gold jewelry is proportional to the square of its weight. So we can say that cost is nothing but the proportional to the square of the weight, right? And we have two scenarios. That first, when the weight is 10 gram, the cost is 3,600 rupees. So what should be the cost when the weight is 4 grams, right? These are basically the two scenarios. So we can say from this relation that C1 upon C2, basically C1, C2 are the cost in two different scenarios. There should be W1 is square, W2 is squares. W1 and W2 are the weight of the particular in the both two scenarios. Now we can take it ahead. The cost in the first scenario is 3600. The cost in the second scenario we need to find out. Weight in the first scenario is 10. Weight in the second scenario is 4. Now nothing is left in this question, right? We can say the C2 is 3604. 3604 divided by 10, which should be 360 into 4, which we can say 1440, right? Which you can say nothing but 1440, right, guys? That was again a simple question. I guess everyone should have been should be able to solve this question. Now we're discussing the last question, which we have based on the memory of based on the memory skills of students. The student, in fact, the students told us this question again. The question is that ABC are running a 400-meter race. A beats B by 15 and 25 seconds, right, respectively. And we are also given that A beats B by 150 meters. Question is that by how much, by how many meters will B beat C? Will B beat C? That is the question, right? Guys, from two statements that A beats B by 15 seconds and A beats B by 150 meters, we can actually find a relation that B travels 150 meters in 15 seconds. We can find a relation by the help of these two statements that B travels 150 meters in 15 seconds. And guys, what is a racetrack? The racetrack is of 400 meters. So by unitary method, we can say that B travels 400 meters in 40 seconds, right? B travels 400 meters in 40 seconds, simple. And guys, we are also given that A beats B by 15 meters. I think I missed some point here. A beats B by 15 seconds and A beats C by 25 seconds. That is also given to us, that A beats C by 25 seconds. A beats B by 15 seconds and beats C by 25 seconds. So from these two statements, we can say that B beats C by 10 seconds. We can say one more point from these two statements, right? Now, guys, if B beats C by 10 seconds, right? So the journey which B travels in 40 seconds, C must travel the same journey in how much of seconds? C must travel the same journey in 10 more seconds, which means 50 seconds, we can say that, right? C must travel 400 meters in 50 seconds. We can simply say that, right? Now the question is, guys, that how many meters will B beat C? The race, we need to understand, guys, the race is just 400 meters, right? The race is just 400 meters. And we know that B finished the race in 40 seconds. B finished the race in 40 seconds. So we need to find out that C traveled how much in 40 seconds. We need to find out that C traveled how much in 40 seconds. That we can find out by the help of unitary method, because we know that the C traveled in 50 seconds how much? C traveled in 50 seconds equals to 400 meters, right? We just, found out here. So we can say if C travel in 50 seconds equal to 400 meters. So C travel in 40 seconds how much? We can say 400 upon 50 into 40, which basically must be 320 meters. So C traveled 320 meters when B travels 400 meters, right? When B travels 400 meters, let's say B, C started together. B reaches the destination point, which is 400 meters away from the start point. In the same time, when B traveled the destination point, C traveled how much? C traveled 320 meters. So guys, now we can easily say that in this race, C is beaten by 80 meters, right? Because C has to cover 80 meters. So we can easily say that C got beaten by 80 meters, or B beat C by 80 meters. So guys, answer of this question must be 80 meters. Right, everyone? So students, okay. So everyone, you can say these were, the last session of today's whole live session of 12 hours, right? We have put everything for you in these last 12 hours. We tried to put all the information which we got to know from various sources to you in the last 12 hours. Now we are just going to end this live session, right? I hope you all would have effort in which we are trying to help you all, right? So everyone, after this session, you can try to share this session as much as possible to your friends, right? With your friends, and you can like you can also help your friend in terms of guiding them by watching our video, right? And guys, after this, as you know, the journey is not over, right? The written exam is done. Tomorrow also there are two exams of different students. So the family of IPM Careers would like to wish you all the best, right? Apart from that, we also want to get ready for the preparation of personal interview, which we are also going to start very soon, right? So you can also join the batch of personal interview, because very soon we are going to launch the batch, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, right? So uh, I would like to suggest you that you should also start your PI preparation very soon, right? So this is all from you guys, from us, and uh, as we promised, we actually took the live session of 12 hours. We kept our promise. Now this is your turn, guys, to perform better in PI round and in tomorrow exam, right? So this is all from us. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care, guys. Have a happy next exam.